Remember how long, guess I always been this way, running 90 miles a minute all night and day, doing things that'd kill a lesser man or get him locked up tight. Never meant to hurt nobody, no I ain't like that, just trying to make my way any way I can. There's a lot of folks out there wanna slow me down, make me act right. But don't you fence me in, no you'll never tie me down. I don't fit in your society. I'm wild as the wind, yeah, I'm a mustang running free. I'm the last outlaw, you ain't never seen another like me. Yeah.
I'm Rick Palmore from Reynoldsburg, Ohio. This is me and my wife's small tire Mustang that we race. It's an 86 Mustang. It's got a all aluminum 417-inch Yates headed motor in it. It stock suspension deal, 25.5 car. We've had it for about 4 or 5 years. And we're going to start trying to do some no prep racing with it this year and try to get back into that. But it's pretty much, we run a lot of radial stuff, but we're going to try to jump over to the no prep side of stuff this year, backwards racing and all that stuff, and see if we can throw our hat into that and become something. I started when I was 16. I had a 67 Chevelle, was my first car, and I've just always been around cars since then. I was a mechanic for 15 years at a local garage, and I've always been a gearhead. And I started racing, probably when I was 16, something like that. So we always drag race. I've always been a drag racer. I did own a car at Columbus Motor Speedway for 2 weeks, and we put it on the trailer twice with a forklift. And I said I'm out. So I'm pretty much a drag racer. I've always been a drag racer. So I've always drag raced heads up. I've never did no bracket racing. We've always raced on the street or heads up deals. That's what we've always done. I think I've won 1 round of bracket racing in probably 20 tries. I've just never, we used to go to the track on Wednesday night and they put you in the bracket program so you get an extra couple of hits is all we'd run. But always a heads up deal, street guy, street stuff's always been. It was probably me and John Hook and my Mazda pickup truck, probably running light to light. But first real street race was probably me and DJ. I had that, no, you can't see it, but we run Frito one night with it. And we ended up beating him, and that kind of started a friendship from there with him throughout the years. But that's kind of when we first got into street racing, was probably, I'd say Frito was probably the first one we beat, My most memorable race was, we was at Norwalk in '97, and I drew Monty Smith first round, and I beat Monty Smith. He had troubles, but we ended up outrunning Monty Smith, so that's kind of my biggest racing highlight of my career, I guess. My first event win was it means the most to me. I've tried to win King of Columbus for probably 15 years. I've runnered up. I've got to the finish line first one year and won, but I hit a cone. And probably the year I won King of Columbus, that was probably my best memorable race, probably. So it was one of them deals. I wasn't going to go. I had some part failure. Some buddies of mine got together with another buddy, got me some parts. Bobby Smith loaned me a set of injectors to go racing, and we worked on the car all day, all night. One of them deals, broke transmission, had everything back together, and it just worked out. One of them deals. We run Ed Parker in the finals, and Ed was on radial, so that kind of gave me the upper hand that day. So, but that was probably my best one, I would say. This car, I had a silver '87 that we wrecked in Mount Vernon in a no prep race. Destroyed it, and I bought this car out of Texas, and we've had it for the last 4 years, and it's just been a good car so far. We've been fast with it, and we think that it's going to be a real good hand in no prep this year. We're thinking we got some stuff. We're working with some stuff, and we're hoping that maybe we're going to have a pretty decent car to run no prep with this year with it. So we'll see how it goes. We won a race at Marion. We runnered up at Marion, and I did several of my personal bests in this car time-wise. I mean, it's really showed some good numbers on prep stuff with radials. I mean, it's been 110/60, and it's been 160 out the back plus, but I ain't allowed to say the ET because my wife's within shouting distance. But it runs pretty good on 26s. We like it, so This car, I've got 3 or 4 guys that really helps my program a lot, and they don't like to be recognized. But one of them is Marcus Warwick. He's out of Clarksville, Tennessee. He does the heads on it. He's always done my heads for the last 4 or 5 years. He's a Ford guru, and he's one of the best guys I think around that people don't know about. He's got a chassis stuff. He's Marcus Warwick. He's a good guy. And then my other guy would be Patrick Barnhill and Eric Gash from Howtech. They help me out a lot. I've known Patrick for 25 years. I mean, he's always been a good friend to call and help. And we talk a lot on the phone about other stuff besides racing. And then probably the biggest secret in my program is a guy by the name of Brian Bell. He builds the motors in it, and he does chassis work. And Brian's one of them guys that's just he don't like no recognition. But I tell you what, if he wanted to start his own deal, he'd be a bad dude. He's a real good friend of mine, and he helps my car out a lot. I mean, he's on the phone with me after each round, want to know what's going on. If he's in a race, he's always talking to me and trying to make the car better. But since he's come along, it's really changed my program. So, it's funny. A lot of people don't really know, but I don't know nothing about EFI. I hate EFI. I'm a carburetor guy. Give me a Fogger and a Dominator, I'm good to go. But my wife does all the tuning on this, 100%. There's no bull crapping to me helping her. She pretty much calls all the shots on it. Over the years, she's starting to get a name for herself. I mean, we've been at races before where there's been guys come over and say, I need to talk to Julie. I'm like, what for? They're like, well, Patrick Barnhill told us she's hit the track, she can help us. So she's really starting to come a long way with it. And she gets a lot of help from Patrick when needed and Eric. But yeah, she calls all the shots on me. I just drive it. I got no say in the tune-up. So it's her gig. So it's love-hate. I get in trouble a lot with all the digital stuff now because I say I had it all the way to the floor, and she'll say no. The TPS said 65%. Get some balls and drive it. So it works. I mean, like I said, I don't know nothing to argue about. So she calls all the shots, and that's like I said, that's her baby, not mine. I'll do some plug readings and make sure nothing's, but that's all her. She does pretty good at it. So I can't go racing without her. I know that. So we had a race one time. Me and my buddies was going to go to, and she was on a cruise with some of my family, and we couldn't go because we can't even start the damn thing without her. So it's kind of one of them deals. So it's pretty much her gig. So it works out. I tell you what, I'm one of the younger guys in the neighborhood. We've been here probably 20 years, but there's actually 4 or 5 other race cars in the neighborhood. I've learned over the years, I don't try to start it up late at night. I work with the neighbors. I've been real good. And it's a turbo car, so it ain't real loud. So we do work on it here late night sometimes, but we don't really get too excited in the neighborhood with it. We don't race it or nothing around the neighborhood. We'll drive it around a few times, but I've got pretty good neighbors, so it seems to work out pretty good. So, yeah, the motor's laying over in the corner, and to be honest with you, I'm not a Ford guy. And this might come as a shock. I've never been a Ford guy. I'm a Chevrolet man. I've been Chevrolet from day one. And if my grandpa was still alive now, he'd break his foot off of my ass knowing I had a Ford over here. So it's just been one of them deals. The last, the stock suspension Mustang deal has kind of been what we've been. And when I bought the turbo car, it had a Ford in it, so we kind of stuck with it. And then I ended up getting a good deal on a motor from Shannon Renfro, and we put that thing together, all aluminum deal, and it's just kind of growed on me. So yeah, it's still Ford powered, which, like I said, it's kind of an oddball, but it is starting to make some big power. So we're going to hang out another couple years with it. So we'll see.
And you at one point in time talked a lot about getting away from that. Who kept you away from that?
What?
Kept you from switching away to the Chevy.
Chevy. Why'd you stick with the Ford?
I don't know, you or
Yeah, no, you know.
what? Oh yeah. And here's another story I forgot. Yeah, about the Ford deal. 2 years ago, I was done. I was throwing the Ford in the trash and putting an LS in it. And a friend of mine by the name of Joe Howard, we run into each other at the track and we was bullcrapping. He asked what I was doing with the motor, what was going on, and I told him I was going to shit can it and get a Chevrolet so I could go fast. And he kind of giggled and said, "Can you give me one shot with it? Can I get my hands on it?" He said, "I've never had nothing that good." So me and Joe I've known Joe for 25 years, and we become buddies the last 6 months. And I took the motor to him, and he was in the process of putting it together, and he passed away. And that number is, I can't even start. Shit. Can you edit that out? Got me crying. Oh. Better still the puffy, probably puffy. Probably gonna be tough to. But anyway, I can't. You'll have to talk about that. I have to skip that part. You'll have to do that. So let me take a second, get my eyes cleaned up. Everybody's gonna think I'm a pussy. 2021, we're working some. We got some one-off stuff we're trying. Barnhill thinks outside the box. The transmission's got more solenoids on it than 2 foggers, so we're working on some stuff to try and slip it like a clutch. It's a goofy deal, but we're working on that. I've worked a new deal with PSR. Penske shops, as Barnhill's worked. We're working a new shop for a no prep deal. We think it's going to be a nice piece, and we finally got some mounts inside the car so we can start moving some bars around. You know, the days of the 135 60 foots are over for no prep for this car, so you know we're going to try and get after it down low so we can go. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And the motor's going to stay the same. The motor makes more power than we can use. I think last time we had it at Josh's place on the dyno, I think it made right around 1,200 on 15 pounds of boost at the rear wheels. So I mean, it's got more power than we can use. So we're just trying to get a hold of getting it to the track and going. So we got a few things worked out. So hopefully it works out. We'll see. For events this year, we haven't really thought of anything. We're going to try to race every weekend and go wherever we go. The car is going to probably be switched back and forth between no prep and prep, but you know, most of our stuff's going to try to be no prep. That's where all the money seems to be at, and I think we got a car that can be competitive in it. But just every weekend we're going to try to be somewhere. And you know, we got an RV and trailer. We do travel, so you know, that's going to be probably our year. This year's just racing a lot and trying to get some laps on the car and make it faster, and hopefully make some money with it and get some wins with it. That's our plan. So. Yeah, I do got 2 good sponsors, Downing Construction and Nationwide Insurance. Yeah, they help us out. They give us a check every Friday. But yeah, Rodney from RPM Transmissions, he's always helped us out. He's been good to me over the years. He's first class to me. I mean, I'm nobody. I call him up and he treats me like I'm Stevie Fast. I mean, I call him and say, Rodney, I got a broke tranny or something's wrong. Get it over here, Rick. We'll get it fixed. He's always treated me good. Like I said, Brian Bell that helps with the motors. I mean, he's always helped me. You know, he's kind of come on board. And like I said, Marcus, he does a lot of stuff for me too, for sponsorship and stuff, and helps out. But rather than that, we're pretty much just out of pocket team. We spend everything and pay for everything, and that's pretty much how that works on that deal. We're just a self-funded deal, and we got no kids no more, so we put all our money into this thing. So that's pretty much it for the sponsor stuff. So.
My name is Julie Palmore. I am the boss, and we're done. No. I tune Ricky's car, and I really am the boss, though.
We know.
Well, I lied. Turbo's the boss, then I'm second in charge. My duties with the car are to tune it and make sure that Ricky does all the checklist stuff. I help out a little bit mechanically, but not a lot. I don't know a lot about that stuff like he does. He was a mechanic for a long time, so that's his department. I do some of the chassis changes, just because I'm the one that takes the notes and knows what the car likes. It really just depends. I mean, I can change things in the tune that help the chassis depending on where we're at. I don't know how else to say that without saying what I'm doing. We have Haltech 2500 T. That basically does everything. I mean, everything is regular Haltech. From the shocks to the tranny to the trans brake to everything's regular Haltech, which is nice. Haltech's amazing software. Started using Haltech. We actually started with Big Stuff 3, and we had a problem with it, and so let me backtrack. We switched to EFI, and Ricky doesn't even know how to turn a computer on. So by default, I was the one that had to learn how to do the EFI stuff. So I started working with Patrick, and Patrick's very, very, very patient. Never treats me like I'm stupid. Will explain things. Like, he'll start talking, I'm like, all right, dumb that way, way down, and he'll dumb it down for me, and he's really helped me tremendously to get where we are. So we had Big Stuff, and I had a problem, and I called him, and the guy just was a jerk and talked to me like I was a piece of trash, and I'm like, this is your product. Like, I'm calling about your product. And we switched to Haltech after that, and it's just night and day, first of all. And so I started learning Haltech. I really started learning it more when we switched to Haltech. It's way more user-friendly. And Patrick just really sat down with me one afternoon and went through the basic stuff that I needed to know. And of course, he's the one that sets our cars up brand new. I could never do anything like that. Like, there's way too many little things that need to be done that I would forget just because I don't do it all the time. But now I very rarely have to call Patrick to answer a question. I pretty much do it all myself, but it's because of Patrick. And Kenny Lutz also. He helped me a lot.
What will be some of your responsibilities in helping the program grow in 2021?
Making my husband keep the pedal to the floor. So a couple years ago, Ricky really is not a Ford person, and he wanted to get away from the Ford. I should say, I like the fact that we have a Ford car that is Ford powered. I like that, always have, and that's just important to me. So we were at the track one night, and he was telling Joel Howard that he was going to switch to a Chevy, and Joel's like, it had blown up. And Joel was like, give me one chance, let me put it back together. He said, Rick's like, this motor won't make any power. I'm done with it. I'm sick and tired of spending money on it, blah, blah, blah. And Joel's like, give me one try. So Rick's like, fine, I'll bring it over to you. So we took it over in parts, and Joel did all the specs, did everything. And unfortunately, in the middle of it, he passed away. And so Ricky put the number that we have, JH is Joel Howard. He ran Renegade, which is the REN, and his number was 4077, so that's why we run that number. So the motor that we have now, Brian ended up finishing it for us. It was pretty close to being done. But everything that Joel wanted and had spec'd out and all that kind of stuff that's that motor right now. So Joel said it would run a certain number, and we were and Rick's like, you are crazy, it'll never run that fast. And we were really, really close to running that number this year. The crash, the wreck, unfortunately, that's my most memorable because number one, don't ever, 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 ever run down the track. Because it's long. It doesn't look that long, but it's long. So somebody yelled that Ricky was on his top. So I just instantly started running down, which obviously he wasn't. And I got about halfway and I thought I was going to die. And Ricky's friend was in front of us and he was still running, and he's a heavier guy. And I'm like, well, if I stop running, I really look like a horrible wife. So I'm like trying to run down the track. So we finally get to race car parts and it broke off the car. So I started picking those up so that I could catch my breath to get down there. But that, unfortunately, that's my most memorable. Like, just because it scared me to death. Yeah. Good memory, probably the same as Ricky's, is when we won King of Columbus, because we had tried to win that so many years. One year we raced Goron in the finals, and Goron wheelied. His back window came out. Ricky actually beat him to the end, but hit a cone, so we didn't win. So Goron won. The day that we did win, it was having transmission problems. We pulled it off the trailer. It wouldn't go into gear. Rick lost his marbles. Didn't even think it was going to be able to run. Ended up getting it fixed. It was something simple. And like he said, we ran against Parker in the finals, and we won. It was a long time coming.
Yes, I think about King Columbus too. That was a lot of Bill and Kenny's deal too. Because Bill was the one that's like, we're getting the fucking thing. I was like, I even thanked him in the article. I was like, if it wasn't for Bill and Kenny, I wouldn't be here because I'd give up. Bill's the one that found the injectors. I probably should have said that.
Oh, another good thing about Haltech is you can tell every single little thing. When your husband says he does something or doesn't do something, you can look it right up.
So Haltech is a snitch?
Haltech is a snitch. Haltech would get stitches.
You remember how long it's always been this way, running 90 miles a minute all night and day, doing things that'd kill a lesser man or get him locked up tight. Never meant to hurt nobody, no I ain't like that, just trying to make my way any way I can. There's a lot of folks out there wanna slow me down, make me act right.